This is Supermain. Welcome to Godfall 101.
Welcome to Godfall 101. We are 20 days or less from the time that you watch this video to the launch of Godfall. $60 purchase over on the Epic Game Store for PC, $70 purchase on the PlayStation 5, plus that PlayStation 5 price, depending on if you get the digital or physical edition of that console. And oddly enough, we do not have PC specs for the game as of yet. Now, it's not an issue for the PlayStation 5 players, but imagine pre-ordering Godfall on PC, because everything you see has you very excited. And then they release the PC requirements and you find out that your rig cannot run the game. That would be a major bummer. Alright, now forgive me if the information I'm about to go over is old news. I just recently returned from a 5-day elk hunt with little to no cell service, so I have been a little out of the Godfall loop. But I'm happy to get back into it. It's not long now, folks. I imagine that the big outlets will start getting their preview copies soon, getting their reviews ready for the launch of the game. And recently, Keith Lee was interviewed by PlayStation Official Magazine from the UK, and we got some more details and quotes from Keith that I want to touch on. But seriously, how many more of these interviews are we going to have before they start showing more of the game systems? Quote from Keith Lee: "We aim to shoot for Mars, and yet we may not hit Mars, but yeah, we might hit the moon. So that's our goal." End quote. Look, I'm not one to nitpick someone's intent, but if you say you aim to hit Mars, Mars is your goal. Just because you missed and hit the moon does not mean that the moon was your goal. It means you missed Mars. Unless the moon was your goal the entire time, then why not just say that? Anyway, speaking of Godfall, and once again reaffirming that it is not a live service game, quote, "It's a complete package where you have a beginning and you have a story campaign. You have an end game. You can take loot that you've acquired and continue to play with your friends in the end game. The entire game can also be played cooperatively, but Godfall is narratively driven." End quote. So in the article, Keith compares the game to Diablo 3. Now remember that Keith helped develop Diablo 3, so I'm confident that a lot of the influence was drawn from the game, which is not a bad thing at all. Diablo 3 is one of my most played games personally. Playing as a wizard and dropping meteors from the sky to crit for 1 million plus damage on enemies was awesome. Mixing and matching set gear bonuses to squeak out that last little bit of power from the item was a ton of fun. At points, it was mindless, and I fell asleep at the controller a couple times farming gear, but I was still having fun doing it. I would rather be playing the game than sleeping, obviously, because that power fantasy was there for me. No demon from the hells could stop my wizard. I wonder if the main story will be replayable in Godfall, so that all that time and energy is not just gone after you complete the campaign the first time. I know that was always a complaint with other looters that I played. We wanted to be able to go back and experience the story. I wonder if they'll do that here. Also, I think that they're trying to remind players that there is a single player campaign. If all you want is that single player story and you never want to dive into the endgame, then you can buy Godfall and get what you want. Now, I'm sure there are players that play Diablo 3, Destiny, Division, and other games purely for this story and never touch the endgame. I don't know any of those people personally, but I'd say that there are players like that. So as long as the team can deliver an interesting story, those players will be happy. As far as hardcore players being satisfied with the endgame, I think we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Quote, "Spaces aren't narrow and closed. Some veer into semi-open worlds where you're free to explore and track down rare loot, defeat hidden mid-bosses, and complete secondary or hidden goals." End quote. Okay, now you have my attention. Information like this, hidden bosses, hidden areas, has me really excited about Godfall and future updates for the game. Very similar to Dark Souls 3, where there were optional bosses you could fight. This is one of those world-building things that really shows to me personally that the team cares about the world they're building. Adding in hidden optional content is not easy and it's not free. Chances are that a portion of the player base never finds them. So including them into Godfall, or any game for that matter, is a reward for those dedicated players that want to explore, solve puzzles, and dedicate more of their time into the game. It makes the player feel smart when they uncover these secrets and gives players a sense of knowing something that other players do not. Until a YouTube guide pops up 4 hours after the game launches telling you exactly where everything can be found, stay tuned to my channel for such videos. Ugh, that actually felt gross saying that out loud. Another interesting thing that I really enjoyed learning about, because it led me to uncover some really cool graphic novels I will now be purchasing, are the art influences the team took inspiration from. So first, Flash Gordon is the hero of a space opera adventure comic strip drawn by Alex Raymond in 1934. Before World War II, Flash Gordon has been featured throughout the years and rebooted in many forms and fashions. I think Flash Gordon missed my generation. It was always something that I heard about, but was never anything I was ever interested in looking into. And unfortunately, doing the research today, that still hasn't changed for me. But looking into the artist known as Mobius, whose real name is Jean Henry Gaston Garrod. All right, Mom and Dad, simmer down. How many names do you really need? He was a French artist, cartoonist, and writer who became famous under the pseudonym Mobius. Mobius was esteemed by Federico Fellini, Stan Lee, and Hayao Miyazaki, and others, and the most influential bandes dessinées artist, after Hergé? Anyway, as I was looking through the Mobius library, The World of Adina, I could see the influence and inspiration the team was taking from Mobius. And this is now something I am very interested in and have ordered the book and am excited to dive into. I don't know exactly why I have always enjoyed the giant faces carved into stone and rock in all of my fiction. I'm not sure where the first instance of it would have been for me, but maybe from Chronicles of Riddick, Gladiator maybe, and Gotham City from Batman Forever, the movie, maybe? But for some reason, just the depiction of giant faces on architecture is something that has always stuck with me. Now moving on to the other inspiration, Frank Frazetta, who was often referred to as the godfather of fantasy art. I guarantee you have seen his art in some form or fashion on movie posters, album covers, book covers. It's everywhere. Now Chris, the art director that brought you iconic characters like Tracer from Overwatch and his amazing work on Duelist, really speaks for himself. So mash some of the most iconic artists together, mix them in the mind of Chris, and you get Godfall, along with all the other talented artists that are working on the game. Now, as a quick side note, at the bottom of the article, there is a little blurb that says, quote, "The world of Godfall is split into realms, themed by elements including earth, air, fire, and water," end quote. Now, I was worried from the previous interviews where the fire realm was omitted from the talking points, and I still am. I think the article is pulling from other information that the outlet could have found on the internet, and I don't think this is a confirmation that the fire realm was back on the menu for now. But I would be happy to be wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that eventually we will get the fire realm. I don't know if that's going to be in a future DLC or what is planned for it, or if it got cut because of coronavirus, because of the quarantine. I'm not sure. I think this year we kind of have to give everyone a little bit of a break, especially working from home. So if it's cut, I imagine we will see the Fire Realm in some form of fashion in the future. If it's not in the main game, we'll just have to see how that affects it on when the game launches. All right, can I talk about the thing I hate the most in the video game industry? I mean, the thing that makes me so mad I could just spit nails. It's market speak. Here's a quote from the article. Quote, "So much detail. And because it's on the PlayStation 5, next to no annoying loading times," end quote. Ah yes, next to none. So there is some, but it sounds really good to say next to none. Awesome. Quote, "Each realm has a distinctive look, with masses of PlayStation 5 enabled details," end quote. Ah yes, only the PlayStation 5 could enable those details, not the PC, where the game is also launching, or on other consoles in the future. Only on the PlayStation 5. Quote, "Godfall is one of the few games in development using Ultra HD textures. These are 4K times 4K, not 4K times 2K, and is still delivering 4K resolution at speed," end quote. Oh yeah, speed, numbers, double the numbers, triple the numbers, ludicrous speed.
Airship for light speed.
No, light speed is too slow.
Light speed too slow?
Yes, we're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Okay, sorry, I got carried away. One last thing that was just announced. Bife of Guardian Radio fame has been contracted by Gearbox to create a lore series for the lead up to the game. We will get never before seen gameplay and concept art, and very, very slow narration apparently.
And so it was that brother fought brother. But this is not where their tale began. It started long ago.
Oh, stop it, that's not a dig on Bife. It's a style choice that he has made, and I'm just not a big fan of it. I kind of already trust the narrative team based on what I've read of the Duelist lore, so I guess me personally, I'm in a spot where I feel like I have to be spoiled on something I would rather discover for myself, so I can tell you all if you should watch the videos before or after. Maybe that's the bet I made when I started a channel focused on Godfall, I don't know. So what's your stance on spoilers this close to launch? Is this something you're interested in? Does having a lore segment created by another person move the needle for you at all if you were going to buy Godfall or not? Is this something that their dollars that they are spending on the marketing, will that convert into more sales of the game? I guess is my question. And initially, I was really concerned that we were going to have a lore series out before we get an in-depth look into the systems of the game. But it looks like Counterplay Games will be talking to IGN tomorrow for a deep dive into the loot, progression, and more. So look for another video, I guess, from me tomorrow about that. Either way, we are really close to the launch of the game, and we will all find out soon enough. All of our questions will be answered. Well, most of our questions will be answered, I'm guessing, until launch of the game. Thanks for stopping by the channel. Our giveaway is still going on. You can win a copy of the game for your system of choice. I'll have a link in the description below, and stay tuned for another giveaway that I'm working on before the launch of the game. I think that one's going to be really cool. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and as always, please be kind to each other.